If you go to the pharmacy, we hear this over and over again, empty shelves, no test kits. Is that a failure? Is that a failure? Failure?
No, I don't think it's a failure. I think it's, you could argue that we should have known a year ago, 6 months ago, 2 months ago, a month ago. I've ordered 500 million of the pills, 500 million pills. 500 million test kits that are going to be available to be sent to every home in America if anybody wants them. But the answer is, yeah, I wish I had thought about ordering 500 million pills 2 months ago. Pills. Thought about ordering 500 million pills.
Pills are good. Pills are good.
No, I don't think it's a failure.
Hey, folks, how are you?
If I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes America is we're going to cure cancer. You think this is a case of life and death. We're talking about people's lives. I want you to know that once we beat COVID, we're going to do everything we can to end cancer as we know it. I've asked Dr. Eric Lander, a renowned Harvard MIT scientist.
By show of putting a 1 in the chat, how many of you are surprised to find out that a career politician who's been in government for 50 plus years is lying about absolutely everything? I will be disappointed if I see so much as a single 1 in the chat. This man has lied so much about virtually everything, from pipelines and I'm not going to ban fracking, I'm going to cancel student loan debt, I'm going to shut down the virus, we're going to cure cancer, we're going to end racism, we're going to sing happy harmony around the fireplace, kumbaya, I'm going to fight for the soul of the nation and heal us all. The exact opposite of everything he said has come to fruition. And to my surprise, there's nobody out there really defending him at this point. I think a lot of people realize that they made a mistake, but because they can't admit it, they just ignore it. They just ignore it. We all know that nobody truly supports this man. Anybody that voted for him was voting against Trump. That's what it was about. They voted against Trump. Now, before we get into it, I want to know how you guys spent your Christmas. Did you spend your Christmas like any of these people in these little quarantine bubbles? I can't tell, because clown world has become completely indistinguishable from normal world. I don't know if these people are trolling, if they're joking, or if they are serious. But you see various people here inside of little bubbles with masks on, double masking, triple masking, celebrating Christmas. I hope that wasn't you. But if it was, I feel so sorry for you. Otherwise, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. Now, let's get right into it. Harris-Biden administration didn't see Delta or Omicron coming. Wait a minute. This is the guy that said he was going to shut down the virus. You guys remember the tweet? People keep, resurfacing it. You can find it online, where he said, and this is almost a direct quote, he said, we're 8 months into this pandemic and Donald Trump still doesn't have a plan to shut down this virus. I do. We're still waiting to hear that plan. Oh, that's right. He just admitted he has no plan to shut down the virus. Now, nobody believed that he ever did have a plan to shut down the virus. We knew that it was just rhetoric. It was just lip service to get elected. That's what politicians do. How do you know they're lying? Their lips are moving. That's how you know. So he finally admits what we've known all along, that viruses don't just go away because the right politician gets elected. That's not how nature works. It's not how science works, but politicians know how to finesse voters, at least the ones that are like low informed. They know how to finesse the vote and know how to say the right things to get elected. And that's exactly what Joe Biden did. So he's admitting there's no federal response. There's no way to solve COVID at the federal level. Good. So maybe, just maybe, all of his talk, all of his rhetoric about restricting travel from Florida, I'm going to get those Republican governors out of the way, nothing's off the table. Maybe that was all just posturing. Maybe that was all just a scare tactic to get governors to fall in line. Luckily, most Republican governors, even the ones that are a little bit iffy, have a backbone, and they stood up to him and they didn't follow suit with his federal guidelines. We know that his vaccine mandate has been held up in courts, been reversed by federal judges or struck down. Still don't really know where that's at in the process. But like I said in the beginning, I think his whole strategy was, we're implementing a federal vaccine mandate. He knew damn well it wasn't going to pass. It wouldn't hold up to scrutiny. It wouldn't hold up to the court system. He knew that he would be met with a lot of resistance, but the goal was to scare employers, scare people into just getting it. And for the most part, I would say that it worked, right? But now that we've got Omicron as the dominant variant, and Democrats know that this is not a good thing for them going into midterms. It's not a good thing to still have COVID looming. He's finally just waving the white flag. I have no plan. There's no federal plan. The question is, will the people who, for whatever reason, believed that he was going to shut down the virus, will they hold him accountable for his lies? Will they take him to task? I don't know. I guess it remains to be seen. Some people, we got to be honest about this, some people actually, because they were just maybe naive, believed him when he said, I'm going to cancel student loan debt. I will not shut down this industry. I will not ban fracking, et cetera, et cetera. And now they see that he was lying, because everybody's paying attention to politics these days. You can thank Trump for that. Maybe now they'll hold him accountable. Maybe we'll see a different result as far as how some of these people vote in midterm elections. We will see. But I know for sure that keeping COVID over everyone's head and spreading fear only serves the purpose of enriching big pharma, enriching people who have a direct financial gain from keeping this thing going. And some of that does include politicians, yes, but that also does not help them get reelected. We've seen a record amount of Democrats announce that they're not seeking reelection. Now, whether or not they're in a safe district, I don't know. We'd have to look at them one by one. But there's something to be said about some of these politicians realizing, I have no shot at getting reelected, so I'm just going to bow out gracefully and just see myself out, because I'll get embarrassed, whether it be by a progressive. That's probably what they would get replaced by if they're in a safe district, or if they're in a purple district, they're going to get embarrassed by whatever moderate or Republican they're running against. So they know they're in trouble. That's why he's signaling this now. I expect him to sing a completely different tune on COVID going into the midterms. Of course, big pharma, of course, and media, they're still going to do what they do. They always are promoting pharmaceutical products, whether it's vaccines or erectile dysfunction pills, whatever they have, they're always going to be promoting that. But as it relates to COVID and the vaccines, I think they're going to about face on that one. But yeah, who is shocked? I never checked the chat, but I'm pretty sure I don't need to check the chat, because I know that there aren't many people who put ones in the chat saying that they're shocked that a 50-plus year career politician lied about something. Yeah, the man is a freaking liar. I'm going to shut down the virus. No, just kidding. I have no way to shut down the virus. I wonder what he figured out that we knew all along. Yeah, that's right. Political strategy. That's what he's doing. Now, a lot will be made, and a lot has been made, of Trump continuing to take victory laps about Operation Warp Speed. I have some thoughts about it. And, here's my thing about it. Trump seems to me like he is out of touch with his base, out of touch with most Americans on specifically the vaccine. There isn't a single person who supports Trump that doesn't know that it was him who was responsible for Operation Warp Speed. Okay, cool, great. That's just unimpressive at this point. When we have vaccine mandates, people have lost their jobs. People have dealt with a lot of stress over, personal choice decisions. Like, what do? I'll lose my employment if I don't get the jab, but if I get the jab, there's all these other problems that can happen. And what about my freedom? Blah, blah, blah. The problem is you just haven't seen Trump take a strong enough stance on vaccine mandates. In fact, it's not even until people like Candace Owens press him on the matter that he actually says, I'm against mandates. But when he releases public statements on his own, he's like, yes, Operation Warp Speed. Yes, we did it. And he's really thrilled that now Biden is giving him kudos on it for the first time ever. That's interesting too. That's another interesting point. The fact that here we are on the brink of 2022 midterm elections, and they're starting to sing a different tune. Oh, we got to thank the previous administration for the vaccine rollout. You know, good job for Trump taking his booster. Fauci praises Trump's staunch defense of COVID vaccines and boosters, shares his shock at the public ex-president has received from supporters for backing shots. And CNN, other mainstream outlets that just 5 minutes ago and 5 minutes later, they're hating Trump, right? They didn't like him. They're still going to bring up January 6th. I tell you, January 6th is going to be a holiday for the left because they're going to continue to use it as this gigantic straw man. Look, Republicans supported this and that. You already know how they're going to do what they're going to do. But as it relates to the vaccine, Trump's getting all this praise, and all of a sudden they like his stance on the vaccine and using it to say, see, his supporters are really radical. Remember, Trump was exactly right about this. Remember when he said, they don't hate me, they hate you. That's true. That's true. Absolutely true. He was in the way. So yeah, they hated him, but they hate you. That's why if he spews the right talking points, if he says the right thing about their agenda or their narrative, they're like, look, Trump, maybe he can get his base on board. So again, it's just, I feel like this, you know, and it's not just me that feels like this. When Trump had that rally in Alabama, I was there, I was standing there, and he started bragging about Operation Warp Speed. He got booed, rightfully booed. And then he responded with, hey, I think you should take it. I think it's good. I understand you got your freedoms. He was really casual about it, but he at least acknowledged the people just not feeling it. It was a non-starter for most people. He acknowledged that, but he just doesn't have a strong enough stance. There's no strong rhetoric. There's no public statement that I've seen, at least not recently. He slipped it in here or there casually, but there hasn't been this strong stance about vaccine mandates. I haven't seen it. Maybe you have. I do not get all of his daily updates, and even because he sends a lot of that stuff, but I just feel like there hasn't been a strong enough stance on it. Now, the other interesting thing is nobody knows what would have happened had he been, how do I word it? If he were still in the White House, right? If he were still in the White House, we don't know what the vaccine rollout would have looked like. I can tell you for certain that it wouldn't have been made mandatory. There's no way, because the way that he handled COVID from the beginning was the states. It's up to the states. Now, the states, obviously, the left states, the blue states, they went full-blown authoritarian. Red states were hands-off for the most part, right? But there's no way that if he were still in office, he would have made this vaccine mandatory. There's no way. Blue states would have done it, but he wouldn't have done it. We also don't know how all these people would have reacted, the people who are anti-Trump, freedom, all that stuff. You don't know how they would have reacted, because last year when he was bragging about Operation Warp Speed, they were all like, can we really trust the FDA? Have we seen all the studies? How do we know that these vaccines are safe? We don't know. Kamala Harris is on, and it's all on tape. That's why I tell people, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. They're on tape, spreading vaccine hesitancy, what now is being called medical misinformation, but they were dumping cold water on Trump's little vanity project, his pet project, the Operation Warp Speed, right? But we don't know how they would have reacted this year with the vaccine rollout. Would we have such a high vaccine rate? Would a bunch of people be getting the booster shot if Big Bad Hitler was in office? Probably not. So, I mean, that's just kind of my take on the whole thing. I don't think that he would make this mandatory. Is he still bragging about it to the chagrin of his base? Of course, yeah. It's just, does he have his finger on the pulse? I mean, it seems really out of touch to me. But I mean, we'll see what happens in 2022. But my thought is that they're just going to about face and take a different tune. In fact, you might even see, believe it or not, you might even see COVID slip out of the news altogether because, again, it's not expedient. It doesn't look good for the Democrats. It doesn't look good for Biden that he ran on, I'm going to shut down COVID. And clearly he didn't. Most people knew that that's not a thing that happens. If you just elect the right person, then viruses disappear. Nobody gets sick anymore. It's not how it works. But yet that was their whole campaign push. That was the promotion. Vote for me because Trump mishandled the COVID and I'm going to handle COVID. Well, we got more deaths this year than last year, despite a vaccine rollout. So it just doesn't look good for them going into midterms. And I think unless they reverse course, change their tune, they're going to get hammered even harder than they already were because of obviously the economy and everything else going on, all the craziness. But yeah, it's just really interesting that they are still they're actually now praising Trump for his stance. Like, oh, look what he did to Candace Owens. He really showed her. It's like, it's such a non-factor anyway. Moving on to other interesting news. 49-year-old New York Times editor dies of heart attack one day after boasting about getting COVID booster shot. It's interesting. Very interesting. Director of Big Lies and Dallas Buyers Club died of a heart attack at age 58. Another interesting thing here. And then outside of North America, athlete heart issues and deaths just keep piling up. There's just this giant unsolved mystery that I hope that they resolve one day. I hope we get to the bottom of it one day. But in the year 2021, there must be something in the air, something in the water, or people are just eating Kentucky Fried Chicken around the clock. But a lot of people are dropping dead from heart failure. And it's just really, really interesting. We can't seem to figure out why. I don't know. Here's a great quote or tweet from Clay Travis regarding the jabs. Okay. 95% of NFL players, 97% of NBA players, and nearly 100% of NHL players are vaccinated. Yet all three sports leagues continue to set all-time COVID case highs. This proves beyond a shadow of a doubt Biden's claim that if everyone was vaccinated, COVID would go away is a lie. Yeah, imagine my shock on that one. Again, a politician who's accomplished nothing, lied about something, and he did it to get elected. It's really funny, you guys. It's like, how did we go from his quote, Biden's quote, you're not going to get COVID if you have these vaccinations? How did we go from that to breakthrough cases? Remember, they were talking about breakthrough cases like, oh, it's extremely rare, to now we need a booster shot actually because they're not as effective as we thought. And now admitting, there's really no federal response to this thing. A heavy-handed federal one-size-fits-all blanket solution actually doesn't do anything. In fact, it has the opposite effect. I mean, if we look at all of the quote-unquote unintended consequences as a result of the severe draconian lockdowns, people have gotten fatter, more depressed, divorce rate, suicide rate, opioid use, homelessness, everything is on the rise. Who could have seen that one coming, right? So it's actually had an opposite effect of what they were claiming that it would have. See, it's never been about health. They don't give a damn about your health. And I can't say that enough times, unfortunately, because it hasn't gotten through to some people. There are still people out there that believe government would never lie. I know that historically governments have been corrupt. They've killed people. They've seized power. Governments have been corrupt throughout all of history, and other countries, present day, are actually corrupt, but not here in the United States, not during this time. This is the only space and time where there's little to no corruption. There are people who somehow hold that cognitive dissonance in their mind. So yeah, I will always say that this is not about health. And I dare YouTube to say that that's medical misinformation. It's not about health. Speaking of YouTube and their just ridiculousness, my guy Painted Trump is now on his second channel strike. Why? Because he uploaded a video of I forget how to pronounce the guy's name, Tedros Adhanom or whatever his name is, the guy from the World Health Organization, saying, well, they're booster shots and they may be doing something to children. You guys know about what I'm talking about, right? He has got a channel strike for that, despite the fact that all he did was upload the video, and the title of the video was, "What did he say?" So they struck down the video, removed it from his channel, gave him a second channel strike for medical misinformation. Now, how could that be medical misinformation if he didn't actually say what we all know that he said? Because I showed you guys the Snopes article. They're like, nope, that's not what he said. He said children, but he stuttered and he actually accidentally pronounced it as K. So it sounded like he said children, but children. So that's what Snopes said. They never claimed that the video was altered. They never claimed that someone did a voiceover or what's that thing, a deep fake? No, they never claimed that. They just claimed that people didn't hear what he said. Yet if you play that video with the closed captions on, it plays the exact words. You'll see the exact words, which would only confirm what you heard with your ears. But they suspended Paint the Trump's channel for that video, even though he didn't make any claims about it. And the funny thing is, if you just search, this is an awful thing to type in, but I did it today just because I wanted to do the research. If you search "kill children" on YouTube, you will get like 30 clips of him saying that. And none of those videos have been scrubbed. They haven't received channel strikes, but yet Paint the Trump's channel did. So very interesting, that arbitrary enforcement of medical misinformation. Well, the medical misinformation came directly from the World Health Organization. Good old YouTube. Now, this viral video, I know I'm a couple days late on it, of the woman on the Delta flight, the Branch Covidian, who used to be an NFL cheerleader, apparently. This Branch Covidian goes off the deep end and assaults a passenger on a Delta Airlines flight. This is probably somebody who believed that Biden was going to shut down the virus and that Fauci would never lie. And the best way to end COVID is to shame all the other people and treat them as others and get unruly midair. And what's crazy about this video is the woman is so concerned. He's unmasked. Put your mask back on. She proceeds to spit on him. Just like her leader, probably. What are the odds she voted for Trump? What are the odds she's a staunch Republican? So I'm just going to assume, I'm going to make the educated guess. She voted Democrat. She voted Democrat down ballot. She believes in the COVID narrative. So she goes and spits on this guy. And her goal of confronting him in the first place is she felt like he was putting public health at risk by not wearing a mask. So her response is to spit on the guy, just like her leader, Biden, spit on a couple different people. He's coughed in his hand and then shook hands. And of course, he has this chronic problem with sniffing children and babies and getting really uncomfortably close to people. During a public health crisis, he's been caught indoors without a mask, despite the sign on the door of that place he was shopping over Thanksgiving break saying you must wear a mask indoors. So these people don't actually believe what they're saying. And the drones that follow them are completely clueless when they get all bent out of shape and start hyperventilating about someone not wearing a mask mid-flight. So this genius here, this galaxy brain of a woman, decides that she's going to spit on the guy and put all of her germy aerosols into this little tube that everyone's breathing the same recycled air because he wouldn't wear a mask. This is the kind of mindless insanity that we've been seeing so much of. Some people, unfortunately, they're not coming back. Some people 10 years from now, 15 years from now, will still be experiencing the psychological damage done to them by the media, by Fauci, by these politicians, by all this fear mongering. And they're going to continue lashing out if you don't comply with what they feel is public safety guidelines. You have to do it. You have to keep me safe. Some people are going to live the rest of their lives in fear. And to me, that is a worse illness than COVID will ever be. So I don't even know if I should play this because you guys have probably already seen it. How have you not seen it already? I mean, it's extremely profanity laced, but yeah, that's pretty much it. She just assaults the guy.
Yes, you are.
Gets weird.
Put your fucking mask on. Who invited you?
I'm eating and I can
Yeah, her mask is off.
You're standing, step up. Stand your ass up. Stand your ass up.
Sit down, Karen.
Karen?
Sit down, Karen.
No.
Sit down.
Sit
Karen.
Sit down, pussy.
Listen, no, you're the pussy.
Oh, no, you're the
She calls him all these names. Is that a way to convince somebody? Everything about this woman reeks of, to the high heavens, of just irrational, just emotionally driven, not logic, fact-based, not persuasive at all. I'm upset about this guy wearing a mask. So instead of saying, hey, sir, could you please put your mask on, which is inappropriate too. I just leave people alone. It's none of your business. But if you were trying to be persuasive, maybe not name calling is a proper way to go about it, but she didn't care. She got up in his face and got violent, got unhinged, and it just made her look like the idiot.
Do you want the police to meet you on the ground?
What about him?
Mask up. Now.
Mask up.
Put your mask up.
Mask up. Tell him.
Tell him to mask up. Says the maskless hypocrite. Where have we seen that before? She hits him.
You're going to jail. You're going to jail. As soon as we get in later, you're going to jail. Bitch. Karen.
Spit on him.
Spit on me. Now you double going to jail. Bitch.
You fucking piece of shit.
Piece of pussy. Sit down, Karen. Sit down, Karen. Sit down, fucking Karen. Look, she punched me. She
Put your
smashed my
fucking
face.
mask on. Tell him to put his mask on.
Does she just lack self-awareness? Like, my God, who raised this woman? Who is responsible for raising this train wreck of a human? I mean, who does that? Who do you know that does that? I would not want to associate with any person that would do what this woman did. And this isn't the first time we've seen it. We've seen people get assaulted on both sides. To be fair, it's people who were told to wear a mask and then they get unhinged and assault somebody. It's like, this is where society is because of this virus. Some people are never returning. We have been divided in ways we didn't even think was imaginable. I mean, you could almost argue that this is worse than racial division. I mean, the racial division doesn't lead to this many incidents of violence. I mean, obviously there has been incidents, but I'm saying like just strangers on an airplane assaulting each other, all because of Fauci and politicians and the god-awful destructive media.
Put your fucking mask
Punched me.
on.
She scratched my face. I want her to fuck
Put
out
your
of here.
fucking mask on. Put your fucking mask
Put
on.
yours on, bitch.
I will put my mask on. I will put my mask on when you put your mask on. Thank you.
She's nuts. This is embarrassing.
She went crazy on the airplane. Punched this man in the face, spit on him, scratched him, pour hot water on my leg.
What an embarrassment for humanity. And we've seen this before. We've seen several videos that have emerged of people having violent confrontations in grocery stores, at gas stations, airplanes, especially airports. I mean, that's where tensions are already high. People are stressed out over travel. So it's just sad, man. They have not cooled down the rhetoric yet on COVID. They're still treating the unvaccinated like diseased lepers that should be avoided at all costs. And the damage is done. I don't know if the damage can be reversed. It's going to take several years, if not decades, for this to be reversed. But hey, at least we're not China yet. China develops artificial intelligence prosecutor that can identify dissent and press charges for common crimes with 97% accuracy. Doesn't get more Orwellian than that now, does it? Cracking down on these thought criminals with artificial intelligence. You can get prosecuted by an artificial intelligence bot, and apparently it's 97% accuracy. So probably if you post a Winnie the Pooh meme online, or if you jaywalk, or if you pay a bill late, or, you know, I don't know. But China, who, you know, we already know China's death grip on our country, from media to Hollywood to academia, politicians, they do a lot to influence our culture here in many ways that a lot of people aren't aware of. And yeah, at least we're not quite there yet. But yeah, China leading the way with artificial intelligence prosecutors. Wonderful. And I think I covered pretty much everything. I had planned to do a live stream yesterday, so a lot of the topics that I had planned to bring up are kind of like old, believe it or not, after the news cycle. Some of them I, accumulated over the weekend, some late last week. So there's not really anything that I feel like is super huge, but I also haven't looked at the news yet today. So I guess really quickly we can just browse and see if there's anything big that I missed. From the news cycle today, I guess, is it the CDC? They cut the quarantine time in half from 10 days to 5 days. So that's very interesting. So yeah, the CDC is kind of in line too with, toning this COVID fear down just a notch. They've just tuned it down just a notch. All right. No federal way to stop COVID. And they said we shouldn't panic. Trump was, he got his booster. That's kind of a good thing. And also, you don't need to quarantine for 10 days, just 5 days. But I mean, still, it's ridiculous that people have to be fully tested to see if they are even carriers of this virus. Yet, if you're unvaccinated, they think that you're out there killing people. How can both of those things be true? If you're unvaccinated, you're more likely to be hospitalized and die from COVID. So you need to get vaccinated. Also, if you're unvaccinated, you need to get tested because you might have the virus right now and you could be killing someone. So you're saying that unvaccinated people, by and large, are asymptomatic? Is that what you're saying? Because if they're unvaccinated, wouldn't it be really obvious that they have COVID? Wouldn't they be like killing over in the ICU? Would they even be in your presence if they're unvaccinated and they somehow have COVID? Wouldn't it mean that they're experiencing a winter of severe illness and death? Therefore, they don't need a test. It's very obvious. You can just Swiss cheese these arguments all day long. It's really not that hard to do. But anyway, I don't really know. This Daily Mail from the computer is kind of clunky. I don't know. Let's see, what's the other one that I like to use? Gateway Pundit. There's usually something on there all the time. I feel like Gateway Pundit, I like them, but some of the topics are rage baity, just to really make you upset, really get you pissed off. Like, what? I feel like it's just to get conservatives mad about stuff. But it's still good. They do good work. I'm not bashing them at all. I'm just saying, like, because I'm always analyzing news, I'm like, dang it, there's more stories than this, but I'm seeing nothing but things that would make me really mad. Anyway. Exposing the deep state's ties to January 6th, origin of the Russia sham, real Russian collusion with Robert Ehringer. Oh, I guess Trump's supposed to be giving some speech on January 6th on the anniversary, which I think I might have talked about this last week. I don't know what the idea is behind that, shining a light on that day. I don't know if I agree with that strategy, but I don't know what the long game is. I just think inflating that day is a bad strategy. I just don't understand the reasoning for it. Maybe to try to shift the narrative, but I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. I mean, they're hell-bent on celebrating the day. It's not going to sound like a celebration, but they love that day because they can kick off midterm election year with talking about the biggest crime against democracy in American history. Worse than 9/11, the attack on democracy that happened on January 6, 2020, worse than 9/11, worse than the Civil War, worse than Pearl Harbor combined. That's the kind of hyperbole that has been used all year and will be used on the anniversary of it to try to make potential voters remember January 6th. Do you remember where you were on January 6th? Find somebody that knows where they were on January 6th. They'd be like, I don't know, at home, work, picking my daughter up from school. Nobody knows where they were on January 6th. Everybody knows where they were on 9/11. Just saying. But they have to make it seem bigger than it is. Let me see. I don't really know what else to cover, guys. Oh, Texas school shooter violated bail. And I guess he's locked up again now. That's not a shocker. Uh-oh. We have an update on our Waukesha terrorist. Governor Tony Evers says people of Wisconsin should sit back and take a breath after violent criminal was released back out on street and murder 6 at Waukesha Christmas parade. Sit back and take a breath. I'm going to need, see, is this truly what he said? I'm going to need to find the clip or the full context. Otherwise, it just sounds like the governor of Wisconsin is that out of touch where he's like, just sit back and shut up. It's very possible that he has Biden's stance. You know, Biden, right before he left to, where did he go? The Hamptons for Thanksgiving. He's like, you Americans, you know, be lucky you're alive. Keep things in perspective. It's how elites talk to the plebs. So it's possible that this governor said that, but I don't know. I'd have to really look into it. But for him to say, sit back and take a breath after, you know, that just took place in Waukesha. Remember, you're supposed to forget about it. You're supposed to forget that Waukesha happened because the guy who murdered 6 people, including children and dancing grannies, was black. Because of the way he was born, you have to forget that he mass murdered people. That's how it works. That's how the media works. That's why you're not hearing anything about it. Salty Moab says, respect, Mike. Thank you for the super chat. And I also got a super chat earlier from Alien Testosterone. Thank you very much. God bless you. You guys are helping to keep the lights on for little Roman in this household. And for that, I thank you. Nutty MSNBC host claims saying, let's go Brandon is a slow-moving insurrection. Oh, yeah, of course. That's the other, I guess, semi-big story is the caller on Christmas Eve called in and got Biden to say, let's go Brandon. I agree. And the media hyperventilated and the guy's been doxxed and everything since then. And let's go Brandon, which will soon be classified as hate speech if it hasn't already been, is being called a right-wing slur. So it's a slur now. It's a slur to say, let's go Brandon. And it's right-wing. Remember, this is so easily debunked, you guys. Let's go Brandon came from people saying F Joe Biden. That's the original chant. Let's not forget that the original let's go Brandon is F Joe Biden. That did not originate in right-wing circles, at least not in a mainstream sense. That originated at liberal college campus football stadiums, not exactly conservative havens. Not exactly, but tens of thousands of liberal college students were chanting F Joe Biden. And because it became such a phenomenon, I went to a game, a football game, NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars against my Denver Broncos, and they were chanting F Joe Biden there. They were doing it at concerts. They were doing it at NASCAR. And because the media is hell-bent on covering it up and saying, this is not what you're seeing, this is not what you're hearing, fiery but mostly peaceful. They're chanting death to America, but they seem really awesome. Also, they're saying, let's go Brandon. People had enough. So let's go Brandon became this viral sensation that topped the charts, beat out Adele. It's slogan. It's going to go down and like permanently as just a slogan. People are going to use it. It's on t-shirts. It's branded. It's on bumper stickers. It's everywhere. You can't avoid it now. That is the media's fault. Calling it a right-wing slur is just more dishonesty. It's just more doubling down on the lie that spawned Let's Go Brandon. If you just acknowledge, hey, college football stadiums, which again are not bastions of conservatism, college football stadiums actually were chanting F Joe Biden, which is worse than Let's Go Brandon. Let's Go Brandon only became a thing because you liars in the media are trying to cover for a man who's not popular. A man that nobody likes. Again, nobody likes Biden. Nobody voted for Biden. They voted against Trump. Very different intentions when they went into the voting booth. So now that they see just how awful and incompetent this guy is, they're saying F Joe Biden. So, I mean, it's just let him continue. It's a slow-moving insurrection. What does that mean? Does that mean we're moving slowly towards Democrats losing in landslide fashion in 2022. And it's because of those right wingers. Let's go, Brandon. If it's such a viral sensation, are you acknowledging that there are a lot of people that don't like Biden? Maybe, dare I say, the majority of Americans don't like the guy that got rigged into the White House. Could that be it? I wonder, you guys. Anyway, I've said a mouthful, haven't I? But I think I covered everything. They're fake celebrating Kwanzaa to pander to black people. And of course, divide the country. It's stupid. So Kamala Harris is, she's not celebrating Kwanzaa, just like Biden's not shutting down the virus. It's just made to appeal to extremely low IQ people. Only low IQ people believe this. Remember when Democrats knelt after George Floyd's death? They knelt with the kente cloth on. Do you think that was genuine? Do you think that was authentic? Or do you think they were pandering for votes and support? The same can be said for Kwanzaa. The same can be said for Juneteenth and everything else. Hey, black people, look at us. Look, we love Kwanzaa. Look, we're celebrating Kwanzaa. Please, we love you. It's fake. It's phony. Honest people can see through this trash. I mean, come on. So fake celebrating Kwanzaa. That's going to die down quickly. Then they'll move on to the next thing. What we should do, actually, I think I might, if I have time, work on this. I want to see how accurately I can predict how 2022 will go. Okay, you've got, obviously, January 6th. That's a big one. That's going to be a huge day for Democrats. Expect all-day coverage. January 6th, replaying, like, remember how they used to replay 9/11? It was awful. They used to replay, look, here's Tower 1 falling. They used to do that, and I think they got so much backlash that they kind of stopped doing it. Maybe they still do, but they're going to do the same thing on January 6th. It's going to be a big day for them. Then what else? What are landmark holidays or events? Martin Luther King Day remains to be seen. Oh, what they'll do with Martin Luther King Day is use it to push critical race theory or BLM, Marxist, basically judge people by the color of their skin. So they'll invert Martin Luther King's message, use his holiday for Marxist agenda. That's what will happen there. What's that? That's January. February, Black History Month. So Black History Month, they will feast on that. They will use that month to say, hey, look, here's a couple black inventors. Let's ignore Harriet Tubman. Let's ignore anybody that was for freedom and liberty, like Frederick Douglass, people that liked being in the country and all that stuff. Let's ignore Thomas. So let's talk about W.E.B. Du Bois. Let's talk about Angela Davis, anybody that was basically a communist. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about black people dying. They will control the narrative of Black History Month, which Black history is American history. I can tell you more about that at a later date and time. They're going to use that month. That month will be hijacked for their agenda. And then what? June? No, that's not June. That's it's February, March, April, May. I don't know. Once we get to June, it'll be about Juneteenth. Of course, there's going to be some kind of police brutality, something race related involving black people and the cops that will get national news coverage for months. I'm telling you guys, this is all going to happen. So we need a 2022 calendar that highlights wicked, evil, dishonest politicians' campaign strategies and the timeline for implementing them. Sooner Now says, can you address the hypocrisy of MAGA who get mad for those who get vaxxed? Since pro-vaxxers get mad at those who don't, same difference. Hold on. I'm bringing this on the screen over here so I can read again. Can you address the hypocrisy of MAGA who get mad for those who get vaxxed? Since the pro-vaxxers get mad at those who don't. Well, for starters, I think you might be conflating MAGA with pro-vax. I don't think that those are the same thing. Also, I can only speak for myself. So what do you want me to say? The world is full of hypocrites. So yeah, there are hypocritical people. You've never heard me shame anybody for getting a shot. I could care less if you get the shot because I believe in individual choice, personal freedom. You do what you want to do. You will never hear me say, don't get it. You never, ever, ever heard me say it, and you'll never hear me say it. If you want to, cool. If you don't, cool. I'm not here to give medical advice. I don't give financial advice. I don't give legal advice. I tell you what I think is true, or I'll say, in my personal opinion, I won't do this myself or whatever the case may be. So I can't address MAGA as a whole. I mean, MAGA is such a broad term. I mean, people have their own definitions for it. And then pro-vaxxers get mad at those who don't. I mean, I don't know. I guess I really don't know, but I appreciate you for the super chat. Dude, thank you for that. But I don't know what you want me to say about MAGA as a whole. Becky, thank you for the super chat. Happy New Year to you. Appreciate you all for tuning in. And if you haven't yet, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. It's imperative that you do. If you're new, subscribe, hit the bell notification. They are doing their best to tank this channel. I probably lose like 50 subs a day. It's ridiculous. Is Hillary Clinton running again? Hillary posts 2 throwback pics of Christmas at the White House. I would love to see her lose again. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar goes after LeBron James for posting meme encouraging vaccine hesitancy. Who cares what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has to say? Nobody cares. He's just an agenda pusher like Terry Bradshaw, there to keep athletes in line. What are the odds that every single person with a platform like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Terry Bradshaw or anybody that does any of the pre-game shows, what are the odds they all have the exact same opinion about basically everything? But we're supposed to believe that they're not pushing an agenda, that they're not part of some big propaganda machine. How do they all share a brain? I'm just saying, they're getting paid to tell you certain things. It's just so obvious. Who can deny this? I mean, I feel like people are just dishonest. If they don't see, wow, no matter what channel I flip to, they're all telling me the exact same thing. But Fox News is the real problem. Fox News is indoctrinating millions. One channel that's, if you ask me, hardly does a good job at indoctrinating, meaning promoting certain ideas that I feel are important to maintaining a free society. I wouldn't put Fox News on my top 10 for that. Sans Tucker Carlson. Low-informed people spend their days looking for superficial entertainers and athletes for wisdom. Yeah, if you let celebrities, entertainers, athletes dictate your political alignment, you are lost in the sauce. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah. Anyway, we're at 47 minutes. I guess I should probably wrap this stream up. I should be back tomorrow. I mean, I appreciate everybody just being flexible. Like, obviously, for the past month, things have been very busy in my personal life, so I'm not able to go live as consistently as I was back in September, October, November. But generally speaking, I try to do a live every day, Monday through Friday, roughly between the hours of 1 and 3, 4 o'clock. So as long as you're generally available, and if you have the notifications turned on, which you should, you won't miss a live stream. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and wrap, but I appreciate everybody, from the moderators to the super chatters to the people that just engage and share and get the content out there. I appreciate all of you for tuning in today. Please, please, please give this stream a thumbs up. Do it right now. If you like the content, if you think what I say is important, or if you just like my commentary, make sure you give it a thumbs up so that you don't miss anything. God bless you all for tuning in. I will catch you in the next stream.